How's it going, everybody? Rival Indigo back with some Xbox talk this time. As everybody that follows this channel and my social media probably knows, I am a big-time Xbox fan. I have been since the original. The 360 was kind of like the coming of age when it came to my generation of gaming. And of course, I stuck with Xbox through the Xbox One, and now very much enjoying the Series X generation. However, just because I am a big fan of this console and brand and ecosystem does not mean it is without flaws. In fact, for a good portion of the generation, last generation with the Xbox One, I was quite critical of the lack of first-party titles. I'm still actually a pretty big believer in the idea of console exclusives. Whether those games are published on PC or not is irrelevant to me because I don't play PC, and many console players don't. They either play PlayStation, Xbox, and usually also play Nintendo. So having exclusive content that kind of brings value and says, hey, this is the signature reason why you want to use this hardware, that matters. Especially when there is content styles, JRPGs and adventure games and such, that feel like they're kind of missing from your console because either the other brand is making those games themselves, or the third-party publishers are only putting them on that one. So it's kind of like, hey, you guys need to make some of this stuff in-house. And I feel like the later part of the Xbox One generation with the Series X, or excuse me, the One X hardware refresh was a great step in getting confidence back from the Xbox community. And the Series X is absolutely fantastic. It's just killing it when it comes to being the best performing hardware, the price point, the design, and of course things like Xbox Game Pass. And there is definitely a major effort, it seems, to create content that not only is just exclusive to the Xbox platform, but is produced by the Xbox platform, whether it's on other consoles or PC or not. It's important that it comes to Game Pass and day one and adds that value for us. So I think there is a lot of positives to being an Xbox fan, and they've made a lot of improvements with the start of this generation. But one thing I will always be critical of when it comes to any brand, any, entertainment franchise, anything out there really that has dedicated fans and people that spend a lot of money and time on that franchise, on that brand, whatever it is. And that is just not caring what they think, and like I said, in a lot of ways they've obviously done a lot of improving, but that's just because they wanted to survive in the market. There's times where you really need to just kind of listen to what your fans are asking for, because they're not that big of requests. So number one, I want to start with the white Xbox Series X that everybody just saw in the Logitech commercial. It kind of got people excited because, yeah, the Series X looks absolutely fantastic in black. That's how I have it, and that's probably what I would keep. However, the Xbox did real well with the 360 early on, being in that nice, fresh, crisp white color. And with this one having the green inlay and the vents on the top of the console, it would look really good. Mock-ups that we've seen have looked really good. And of course, being in this Logitech ad, it kind of gave people a little glimpse of that. But according to Games Radar, Hyrun Cryer says a white Xbox Series X isn't in the works despite appearance in ad, Microsoft says. And I'm not going to go too in-depth in this article. Basically, it just says the white Xbox Series X console for the promotional video by our partner is not in production, and we have no plans to release the Xbox Series X console in white at this time. So I understand it says here white seems to be the new way Xbox codifies the lesser, cheaper Xbox hardware, with last generation's Xbox One S being colored white, and of course this time we have the Xbox Series X. Okay, that does kind of make some level of sense. However, your customers, the consumers that would possibly buy your console, and people that maybe haven't decided on a console, things like, oh man, that looks really cool, it looks really fresh, it's eye-catching, it gets people's attention. it's not a smart move to just be like, yeah, no, you can't have that. I hate that attitude coming from brands. We have no plans for that this time. And it's like, okay, all right, so there's number one. I'm not a big fan of that kind of reaction. And since the Series, or sorry, not Series X, but since the 1X, people have wanted that. There was some limited run, if I remember, 1X consoles that were white, and they looked fantastic, and I could totally understand why people would want that to be something readily available. There are many console buyers out there who would be fully willing to go trade in their console and go buy a fresh brand new one. Just think of that, like the additional sales you get just there. And the Series X, there's many that would do the same thing. It would be tempting to me, but honestly, black just kind of goes with my entire, setup with my TV and shelves. Anyways, I just think it's a missed opportunity. One of those things, it's kind of like when we talk about Nintendo being a very, very smart but stupid company. That there's all these things that would make them so much money, and they just don't seem to care. Just don't care whatsoever. Xbox, on the other hand, they're a very smart company, but they're a company that doesn't, just to be blunt, they don't really have the same kind of mind share that Nintendo does. They don't have they're doing well with building that reputation for value, at least, with, okay, we've got the Series S that's very affordable and yet very capable, and we've got the Series X that's, for the power that console has, is quite affordable. And then here's Game Pass, and you get insane amounts of games, really good ones, lots of day one releases, whether it's published by Microsoft or not. They have many of these deals to get these games on the ecosystem. So it is the best value in gaming right now. But Xbox is just now, after years of gamers feeling disconnected from the brand for many reasons, kind of rebuilding that partnership with the people who buy their products. I don't think you can afford to just shut off opportunities to make money or to please your fan base. I don't know. Like I said, I'm sure Xbox will be just fine not making a white Series X, but it's one of those things, it's like, come on, guys. People want this. Give them things they want. They will pay for it. That's the point of your brand. That's why you exist. So that's number one. Number two, something that's been asked for, God, it's got to be at least 10 years now, since the Xbox One, and for much of the 360 generation. This article is from comicbook.com, and it's their gaming part. OG Xbox 360 fans get disappointing news from Microsoft. This one is by Logan Moore. And basically, there is a user interface that existed on the Xbox 360 when it first launched. And if I recall, for at least a couple years after, I think it was 2007 when they actually changed it, if I remember, 2007 or 8. But it was originally dubbed Blades, and it was a dashboard setup where the console came on and it opened up to a main screen with like your profile and the control for the disk drive, and your game library was there, and you would use your bumper or D-pad, but usually it was more fun, tap your bumper, here's a nice little whoosh, just whoosh, and it would switch over to the next panel. And the panels, the blades, stacked on the side of the screen. So you would see, okay, I'm on the games or profile screen, and then the next one would be potentially like your game's library, media, settings. And so you would tap and you should go just like, I hope that sound came through on here, but just going back and forth through those tabs, through the blades basically. And it had a great animation, a great sound. There was a just fantastic aesthetic to the whole thing. And it was simple, and it just worked. It was perfect. And then they went with some new Xbox experience or something like that later on. Most people really didn't like it, and over time they kind of went more and more toward the it was Metro, but it eventually became modern user interface. It was similar to what was being used in Windows 8. And they've basically stuck with that all the way to this point. That's a long time. And while it is functional and serves the purpose, and it's not necessarily ugly, it has not been a fan favorite. Like, not even joking, for well over a decade at this point. We're 2022, and we've had 2 years of the series consoles, and then, you know, going back almost 10 years now to 2013, I believe, when the Xbox One launched, and then prior to that with the later years of the 360, fans have been asking, can we please go back to that? We did not get enough time with that user interface, with that menu setup, and everything since has just not been as good. Like, it would be one thing if, for the most part, people just were like, yeah, this is a great user interface. It would make sense. But the reaction here from Larry Herb, who is Xbox Live's Major Nelson, been around forever. I've always respected him for the most part. But he's speaking of the Blades. He says, in his podcast, no, you can't have the Blades back, he said directly to fans when discussing future dashboard updates that are in the works. They were lovely, they were nice, but you can't have them back because they don't scale, as we say in the business, to what we want to do. And see, no, it's not a shock, as the article says. It's hard to disagree, blah, blah. I don't think it's hard to disagree. I fully disagree, because everything that is currently an option or setting or part of the current interface would actually, in fact, work in the Blades interface. You know, it's not as if you didn't have deeper menus off of the Blades. It was just it was simplified. It was clean. And that's what people want from an Xbox interface. And the Blades represent that to everybody. So when you say you can't have them back because they don't scale to what we want to do, well, I don't care what you want to do, Xbox. I care what I want to do when I turn on the console to play a game. And that is what you should care about. What you want to do should be what we want you to do. You know, that's the way this works. Obviously, like I said, if it was already a fairly well accepted dashboard that people just, you know, thought was, hey, this is great, we like it. No, it's functional and it serves its purpose, and it's not messy necessarily. I mean, it can be a little bit of a chore to use at times, but it's not a popular interface. And the fact that there has been so much outcry or you know, questioning, like, can we get something else? What about the Blades? The fact that everybody goes back to that so often should tell you something about the state of your current menus and how good those menus were. Because honestly, I think that they were kind of timeless. I will actually try to put a video, a YouTube link in the description of the old Blades menu so y'all can get an idea. But I'm not saying it has to be exactly the same, but imagine, if you see it, imagine an updated modern version of the Blades. It's not as if it's not doable. It's very doable, and all the functions and features of the current consoles would easily fit into that if you organize it correctly and just put those options in. So anyways, like I said, I'm a huge Xbox fan. I have been for, well, 20 years now, and I probably will never buy another console as my primary gaming machine outside of, you know, Nintendo, obviously, because I play Pokemon and Mario occasionally. But that does not mean they're perfect. And this is one of those things I feel like Xbox, and like all brands, really need to work on, but definitely Xbox needs some work on. Is going, why are people asking for this so much? And how can we accommodate that? Because when you do, you're probably going to make money and you're going to make friends. And that's pretty much your goal as a business. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on these two ideas here. You know, the user interface of the Xbox Series, and of course, whether or not we get a different color of the Xbox Series. And, you know, I remember back in the day, the GameCube. I feel like the GameCube was one of the best consoles ever made, design-wise, but like all the colors, it was so cool. Did they all sell, you know, drastically? No. But just having the option, be like, well, do I want a silver one? Do I want a purple one? Do I want a black one? You know, like, imagine if you could do that with the Xbox Series. You know, like, oh, there's going to be black ones. There's some white ones. There's a really nice, like, maybe metallic gray or gunmetal gray or something. Like, they could even just do base colors like that. You know, maybe a navy blue or something. But anyways, hopefully you get the gist of what I'm talking about here. You know, I would like to hear your input and comments on the matter. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.